Alrighty, so you're going to use a T15 Torx to pull out all four of these screws. There's one long gray one that sits in the middle. That one's different than the other three that are tucked up around here. You'll see the little holes in the bottom. Just stick your Torx bit up there and you'll get to the screw. When you're tightening this back down, don't crank on it too hard because you'll just snap the plastic. And there's one more tucked right back here. Oh, nope, okay, so it's just three on that. Alrighty, so what I was talking about with the connector is this white connector right here. Usually it's free hanging, but I have everything zip tied up. So this outermost pin is your black and red wire, which I don't know if you can see, but it's that wire right there that I have the red heat shrink on. So all I did was I de-pinned the connector by pulling out this red plastic piece and sliding the pin out. Pulled that out, added a male pin onto the end of another wire and routed that up into the hub. I'm going to unbolt the hub so that you guys can see how I routed the wire and how much of the wire we put in there so that it has enough when this column is spinning. I would have had this open already, but I had to test to make sure that the horn worked to begin with. So, let me set you right back down and get this pulled off. Yeah, I found the part numbers, at least for the short hub, and all the forums, which fits, I believe it's a 88 to 98 or 94 Chevy full-size truck or C10. It also is cross-compatible with the Dodge Neon and Viper steering hubs. So I was kind of hoping it'd be like those, being these trucks share so many parts with either one. Go figure, all the videos I saw, nobody had the installation of one of these, nor does anybody ever hook up the horn, other than running an auxiliary button, which to me was pointless if you have a button in the steering wheel. And being that this is going to be a drag race truck, I'm not too concerned about the turn signal not auto-canceling, because you're going straight. You don't need to turn left or right. Alrighty. So you can see here, the wire that I added is this gray wire. I ran it up through that large hole in the hub, and I added an extra layer of, like, it's clear heat shrink, and I heat shrink the end of it so it wouldn't slide on the wire, but that's to keep it from chafing. And I put, I want to say it was almost 2 full revolutions of wire in here. I only needed 1.5, but I had the extra little bit on the wire anyway, so I just left it. So I added another connector to the wire, and I added more of the heat shrink to cover it, and then there wasn't enough covering all the metal and I didn't want it to ground out, so I just added some electrical tape to it. So it's really nothing too special, but it definitely was a bit of a process trying to plan out how I was going to get that wire up to here without causing any issues. My biggest concern was that wire chafing through, being that it does rotate with the hub. So I'm gonna get this all put back together. Oh, the other thing is for the clock spring. This connector all the way down here, this yellow one, is for your airbag. That runs down the column and connects right underneath this lower trim on the metal dash frame. So you gotta pull this lower kick panel, which is just 2 Phillips heads, and you slide it out once you have these 4 covers off. So there's 2 up front and then 2 in the back. If you guys are wondering about my interior at the moment, sorry, let me move my light. This is my radio delete panel that I was able to 3D print from a file on a website called Thingiverse. It's actually designed for some of the early 90s trucks of the first generation, and it bolts into the same area. It's a dual, I believe it's a 52 millimeter gauge pod, so there's a second one here, but this is my Terminator X handheld gauge pod mount that also was a file from Thingiverse. That sits in there with a matching nut because it's a threaded insert, and the wire runs in through the back side of it. I added the provision for the 12 volt outlet up in the top and between the two, just because I'd like to have the regular 12 volt socket, because I changed these bottom two to be USBs. So I have 3 USBs per, so that I have enough and my passenger has enough for the 6-week event that we did. And then I'm not worried about throwing the airbag light on the dash because I ordered the Reversion Raceworks cluster that's 3D printed to hold my Holley 7-inch dash for once this truck is LS swapped, which should be coming up here soon. Have everything pretty much to get it in and get it running other than the fuel system, which, lucky enough, because KSR Performance in Gainesville isn't too terribly far from me, I've been working with them to get the parts and everything that I need. So, once I get all that, I just gotta message them again and get the fuel system squared away for this truck. And adding into the Hodge Dodgeness of this truck, I have the Dakota seats in it currently, but I will be putting my Trans Am seat back in the driver's seat. And I also picked up a Pontiac GTO seat out of a 2004. That'll be my passenger's seat because it's a little more comfortable of a seat than the Firebird one. As my passengers have told me, I prefer the Firebird seat because I'm a smaller person and it cradles me better. And then I have my 2011 Tacoma center console that I grafted and bolted in here. I made this custom cubby out of foam at my work and hard coated it, which holds my little Bluetooth speaker since I don't have a radio in here. But let me get this put back on, show you guys the ding of the quick release and how that all works. I have a horn button for the wheel, but it is not one that fits. The motion wheel came with the button delete, not an actual button, so I had to order one from MPI, so I'll be able to have the correct millimeter size for a horn button. I could make the other one work. There's a centering ring, and I could print an adapter if I felt like it, but I was a little disappointed with the Amazon listing because I thought it was just going to be a blank carbon fiber one. And it wasn't. It actually said Nardi on it, which was a bit annoying because my wheel's not a Nardi and I don't want it to advertise that it is so. Let's get this last screw in here, and we'll put that steering wheel on for you guys to see it. If you have any questions about how I did any of it, just let me know. I can try to go into further detail, or I can just message you guys about it. Alrighty, that's in and that's tight. So this is my quick release. It's just the black, and I believe it's gray, but I was trying to go with the two-tone black. But just line it up, and then it's on. To get these wheels off, there's a little like lockout pin right here. You gotta push that and then slide the collar up to you to get the wheel to disengage. Like so. And then back on. Alrighty. Well, that's the video. And thank you guys for watching. And then if you guys have any questions about anything that I'm going to be doing to the truck or how I plan on setting stuff up, feel free to ask.